Hey friends, Maria McCormick here. You ready to dive into some more migraine physiology? I will not be talking about minerals as much today, but more just about hormones and neurotransmitters and the role that they play in migraine. And of course, in order for the body to make these neurotransmitters and hormones, there are very specific minerals and nutrient cofactors needed to build them. And I go over all of this in my coursework, specifically how to build serotonin and progesterone and the reasons why they get depleted. And please watch my previous videos if you want to understand better why I think that building serotonin and progesterone are the key leverage points in healing migraine. But I also want to tie in a few other pieces to this puzzle, and that is related to breath rate. So we know that progesterone is a potent anti-inflammatory. It also reduces hypoxia. In other words, it allows more oxygen into the body, as does serotonin. And one reason for that is because progesterone helps to sensitize the nerves to serotonin, and then serotonin actually, I just found this out today, plays a role in your breath rate, which is so fascinating because, of course, if your serotonin is low and your breath rate is fast and shallow, your CO2 to oxygen ratio is going to be off, and this is going to affect how much oxygen is in your cells. And I thought this was fascinating because when I read that, I was like, that's funny. I thought it was mostly the thyroid system that regulates your breath rate. So what's the relationship between the thyroid and serotonin? It just so happens that low thyroid hormone results in low serotonin levels. So there is a relationship between your thyroid levels and your serotonin levels. This explains very clearly something we already knew, which is that a lot of people with migraine are hypothyroid, have low thyroid levels. But it implicates thyroid hormone in depression. And so they've actually shown that when they can normalize people's thyroid levels, it does help them with mood. And of course, I already knew you have to support the thyroid system, but this explains really clearly why and how all these seemingly separate systems are so related, and how you can look at adrenal health and thyroid health and even liver health through the lens of progesterone and serotonin levels. So for example, in the case of progesterone, the liver's ability to detoxify estrogen is going to affect progesterone levels, because when the liver is compromised in doing that, estrogen levels will be high and that ratio of estrogen to progesterone will be affected. And estrogen does increase histamine and is inflammatory. And so, obviously it's important, and there's multiple estrogens. I don't mean to say just estrogen, but estrogen dominance and hypothyroidism are also implicated in each other. And one reason for that is that when you have high estrogen, we know estrogen lowers iodine. You need that iodine to make your thyroid. So all of these, relationships to me are just so fascinating, these dynamic relationships, and they're infinite. There's just no end to the ways that we could understand the incredibly sophisticated connection that these organ systems have with each other, and have with nutrients, and have with neurotransmitters, and have with hormones. And, it's kind of frightening for me to make another course, an updated course, because I'm constantly learning, and there's just no end to the learning that could be had. But these are definite leverage points. And I've been testing it out with my clients recently, how to increase progesterone and serotonin, even at times of the month when we're naturally low with that, like during menstruation when a lot of women get migraine, and even how to do that without taking daily oral progesterone therapy. A lot of women have done that and had success with that, but that's super complex, even more complex than mineral dynamics, because the body can convert progesterone into estrogen and testosterone and vice versa. And of course there's, women have cycles, so and plus it doesn't address the root cause. So just taking exogenous hormones, I don't think is really a good solution. We want to be preventing migraine. We want to be supporting the organ systems and the glands that produce these hormones. Did you know that iodine is needed for every gland in the body that secretes a hormone? Could you do that without enough iodine? No. Not even just glands, but tear ducts. A lot of people with migraine have dry eyes, dry mouth. That's an iodine deficiency issue. But nevertheless, I have found a way, even though I'm not in favor of taking just, exogenous hormones every single day to prevent migraine. There are people who have done that and successfully, but that approach is not compelling to me. But I have found a way to increase progesterone without taking progesterone daily, and how to increase the serotonin by supporting the thyroid and getting all the nutrient cofactors in place. So I just thought it was so fascinating that serotonin affects the breath rate and that thyroid hormone levels affect serotonin levels. So now we're really starting to see how it makes so much sense when we see these different organ systems that are seemingly unrelated. They have a lot in common in terms of how they affect serotonin and progesterone. So all of this is going to be in my online course, Repattern Migraine. I'm so excited. I'm a little terrified because I'm not very succinct. I just find all these relationships so interesting. And I know a lot of you do too. So I'm not going to dumb it down or make it too short, but I am trying to make it digestible and easy to comprehend. And this is coming out soon. So if you're interested and you want to be in the loop, just sign up in the link in my bio and you'll be on the list and be notified when it becomes available. And I just did a really awesome interview with Aja Rose of Sacred Rest as well. So that's exciting because in addition to the mineral balancing and the hormonal information, I'll also be exploring these issues of the sociological reasons for women's emotional dysregulation and how that has an effect on our organ system. So I'll see you over there. Take care.